Hey guys, welcome back to the Lit Mag Lab podcast. I'm Jazz Marie, aka Vevna Forrow. So previously on the podcast, I was giving you a tour of a lit mag called Word Gathering. Do listen back to that. Past couple of episodes, I've been covering, lit mags tied to, disability poetry and literature. And yeah, so totally, and sharing also in episode 115 and things I went through as well, while running Dippity, and some of the hardest challenges, being maybe a founding editor or even just like starting one up, right? That's not the only episode. Don't forget about the Q&A episodes in the series, the ones without the circle, right? So yeah, you'll find those sprinkled across. You can see my screen out on YouTube, Spotify, elsewhere, Substack even. So let's get started, yeah. Today I am on MudRoom. Yeah, that's MudRoom. And yeah, that's a very fun name. You can see, right, they have these right little shoes, right, untied. So that's cool. And I came across them on social media, just scrolling through. I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And yeah, so let's head over to their Chill Subs overview page here. You can see they've been bookmarked 767 times. Yeah. So yeah, and there is no fee to submit, and they do pay writers for their work, right? So they have also payment, it looks like, for writing and multimedia. $15 is showing for nonfiction, $15 for multimedia. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. They nominate for prizes. Their acceptance rate is showing through Chill Tracker stats 1.13%. Average response time has been about 30 days, right? Editor reported, and then 33 days from others who tried submitting, right? And this is top tier stuff, not Paris review, but close enough. And yeah, so they have some recommendations or ratings in here on Chill Subs, right? Bold and weird, beautiful design, hidden gem, new writer friendly. Others have said I just love them. Career builder, great editors, a damn good read. And they were founded in 2019, based out of the U.S. And yeah, so they've been around 7 years. Yeah. So MudRoom is a triannual journal of poetry and prose. Their mission is to provide every writer emerging and established the opportunity to both see their work published and engage with the larger literary community. They are committed to publishing underrepresented voices, especially BIPOC, queer, trans, women, and disabled writers. So yeah, they have some industry rankings here: 611 out of 1830 for the fish list. I do have an episode that covers what the fish list is and industry rankings, so you can find that. Yeah. Masthead here. So the editor in chief. Now staff sometimes changes, over time. Sometimes it takes a while for LitMag editors to update staff. So I'm just gonna read off the editor in chief here. It looks like Hannah Frankie Bailenson. Bailenson. So I apologize. I probably messed up the name. I'm so sorry. But Hannah, editor in chief. Yeah. So yeah, let's check out the call section here. So yeah, so it's saying here on Chill Subs, right? Pay $15. You can see the deadline is coming up here, right? March 25th. So you guys, if you listen to this episode, right, you may have time to submit. Totally. And yeah, so creative nonfiction, right, up to 6,000 words, right? General prose, poetry, free verse, any, up to 5 pieces, right? And it says +1 there. Oh yeah, so +1 was the, I think, general. And literary, right? So fiction, short, other, up to 6,000 words. Art says multimedia, art, photography, right? Yeah. It doesn't say how many pieces for that, so I'm not sure on that. We'll check the website though. So yeah, they state, they have a section filled out here for what editors want, right? So in other words, they themselves are queer and see queerness as expansive, compelling, and experimental. They don't want to read a professor/student story unless it's good, and they do want to read a sports poem specifically if it's gay. They prioritize craft on the line over most else. Your work doesn't need to be perfect, but it should be surprising, exciting, and constructed with care. No two issues of Mudroom are alike. They curate each issue around the work they enjoy and admire most that season. The best way to know the mag is to read the mag. They encourage others to explore past issues before submitting. And welcome, shoes go on the right. Yeah. So I do like their shoe logo, and I was checking out their issues, and it's very cool how they have it set up. Um, yeah, it looks like they have other things here, right, listed, and I don't read all of this off, but they do nominate for awards here, right? Best microfiction, best Lynette, best small fiction, O. Henry pushcart. So that's great. And you can see the stats, right? So 518 submissions tracked, 3 chill subs, right? And accepted 4 from that. Rejected 396, pending 71, withdrawn 13. Some say it didn't respond 9. So yeah, very, very tough to get an acceptance from MudRoom, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try at all. And yeah, it's again, typical that, a lot of writers are drawn to lit mags that pay writers for work and have no fee. A lot of writers, right, artists, right, we like to be paid for our work, right? It's only natural. But again, on this podcast, I don't just cover lit mags that pay writers to work or have no fee. Predominantly, I do try to do that, ones with no fee, but there are ones I've covered with small fees in the past too, and things like that. But yeah, that's great. 0 fee, and they do pay, writers and artists, it looks like here. So let's check out their Duotrope page, right? Again, it covers, their description again that I read. There's saying an unknown AI policy, but it's possible it could be listed on their website. And, so again, most lit mags and journals out there in existence today, I know, typically do not accept any AI at all. So, yeah, it looks like they have pretty, fast response times. It's more challenging. Yeah, we saw the 1.13% acceptance rate average. And then, Duotrope just, again, has the guidelines out here. So, yeah, you can see here, right, for fiction, right, flash fiction is showing here, right, up to 1,000 words, short story, 1,000 to 6,000 words. And yeah, and then nonfiction, right, essay up to 6,000 words, poetry, no line limits, 3 to 5 pieces, visual art. So yeah, it does say artwork, see up to 3 pieces here. So that's not on Chill Subs, but this was on Duotrope, up to 3 pieces. So yeah, and I may have missed that in some episodes. I don't know, maybe for some, but there are. So on Duotrope, sometimes they have the amount of pieces, permitted. And yeah, so then there's submission stats here too that Duotrope has at the very bottom. I'm not going to read through all of this, but you can see, um, it covers how many pieces, how many others withdrew, pending, the amount of rejections, right? 88%. So acceptances are showing 1.7%. So yeah, it almost closely that matches, right, what's on Chill Subs too, in terms of like the averages here, right? And yeah, it looks like it's a current listing of the day. So that's a thing they do at Duotrope, and that's pretty cool. They have a selection process over it. I won't click on that, but you can, totally look into that sometime. Now, the thing about MudRoom, I think they were using Submittable briefly, and then maybe they've stopped using Submittable, or I don't know if they're moving off of it forever, or they are maybe moving to another submission platform. I've covered a couple of different submission management systems on here besides Submittable, so again, there are playlists out on YouTube, a few other channels, not all, where I section things off the best I can. But yeah, just wanted to note that. So, it may say this on Submittable, but they do have on their site, right? Other, the whole guidelines and their open call and everything, even on social media, I believe. So, yeah, let's head over to their website now and let's check it out. So yeah, that's very cool, right? That looks like issue 20 from yeah, it looks like January 1st, 2026 here is showing. So yeah, you can see poetry, prose, review, and then they have the team, right? So yeah, let's go to the about section again. So yeah, I read their mission statement off, so that's great. And then the masthead, so we'll just peek in here. So yeah, I typically I think I'm going to pause on reading bios unless maybe it's just one team member or one staff member predominantly, because I think it adds on to the episode time for you guys. But definitely take some time to read more about staff members. Again, something that Litmax do, they sort of showcase like the likes and dislikes of like staff members and some other fun things, and it's cool to learn more about others running the publication, right? So again, there's Hannah, aka Frankie. I apologize, I completely messed up the last name. Bale Lenson. That's Beilenson. I could probably mispronounce it. I'm so sorry. But yeah, editor in chief, poetry editor. So yeah, and then we are going to look at this. So under about, they have best of the net nominations. Now I think they nominate for other things too. I'm not sure if they have that plugged in on the site, but that's cool that they do that. I think you should always, try to enter award events. I do have an episode that covers the award events, not all of them. There are more, right, that I discovered after doing that nomination episode. So I put together a list online of like all the, award events, for lit mags and stuff, or the primary ones at least. There's quite a few out there. So yeah, so that's awesome that they do that. They nominate for events, and yeah, let's check out the submissions page. Let's see what that looks like. So again, they are currently open through March 25th. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I don't know again if they're what's happening to their submittable, or if they're going to use that or not. I know some keep their submittable account open because of an archive they have with it. Some migrate, things off of submittable or to a new submission system, or just keep the archive open that they have, for record purposes, if it's been a very, very long time, submittable. But I don't know if that's the cause. But anyways, yeah, so that's why I think it's always good to refer to what's on the site. If you were to stumble upon like an active submission page like submittables or that one, it could be confusing. So I think it's always good to have a note like, we are currently intaking submissions through email. Please see our website for guidelines. If a page ever goes inactive, I think like submittable, like that landing page, But yeah, you can see they're open right now. So that's awesome, right? Send us your prose, poetry, and visual art through March 25th. All issue contributors are paid $15. Submissions are free, and they try to respond within each reading period. If you don't hear from them, feel free to query after 3 months. So yeah, it looks like they try to get back again, as soon as possible, obviously. But it says you can query after 3 months. Simultaneous submissions are encouraged. Again, you can just let them know if it's accepted elsewhere. Nothing with hate speech or anything like that. Again, nothing attacking in nature, right? They have their please only submit once per submission period. All contributors are paid through PayPal. So that's great. They state how they're paying others, right? And yeah. So, I think that's, what a lot is common for a lot of lit mags. There's some other lit mags out there I've covered on the series that are, have a couple different payment methods, but there are some submission systems that now, right, let you, right, do payments, integrated in submittable. A lot of lit mags couldn't really use that feature because it's, it's very costly to even do that, right, with like the upgrade beyond the CLMP membership and other stuff, right? So yeah, so I covered a couple of different, submission systems out there like Sofolio and which we're on, and a few others, Dapple, right? So there are a lot of great options now, even, other ones, Ola, right? And yeah, so totally, yeah, I think it's always a good idea to state that. And then again, there's no fee to submit, so that's great. Yeah, again, it looks like they are, they changed maybe to predominantly intaking everything through email instead. And, every lit mag or journal, some of the lit mags I've covered on this podcast, some of them have changed their submission management system, or, changed their structure a little bit in terms of that. But yeah, just keep that in mind. So things can change over time. But so yeah, again, they let you submit 3 to 5, original, previously unpublished poems. So never before seen poems, as a doc, or a PDF, right? One poem per page, 8 pages maximum. You have to indicate poetry submission in your subject line. Submissions without poetry submission in the subject line will be deleted. So yeah, just keep that in mind. You may also include a brief cover letter / third person bio in the body of your email. So yeah, again, the Mudroom publishes fiction, essays, and essays in translation. And yeah, that's cool that they do essays in translation. I don't have we covered one that's done this on the podcast. Was it Agni, or it could be? Yeah, there's definitely another, yeah, lit mag I've covered that does translation pieces or some kind. But yeah, that's cool that they do essays in translation. Yeah, so for that, previously unpublished work no longer than 6,000 words in double space 12 point times New Roman font, right? The file type, right? Please indicate prose submission in your subject line. Submissions without prose submission in the subject line will be deleted, right? And yeah, so they just want you to specify like the type of submission it is, right? That you have, right? So they, right, are aware they want that always in the subject line. Cover art guidelines. So some issues of Mudroom are accompanied by cover artwork. And so for consideration of cover art, MudRoom accepts all mediums of artwork with the exception of AI generated art, visual poetry reproductions, or licensed work. They are looking for art that reflects the energy of MudRoom. Feel free to look through previous issues, reviews, and interviews to get a sense of what they're looking for. So it says, please submit up to 3 individual art pieces, including a high resolution image of your artwork of your submission. If you're submitting photographs of your artwork, ceramics, fiber art, paintings, it says, please consider lighting, angles, and framing of your art, to best reflect the formatting of the magazine's digital publication. And then it mentions, the file name, whenever possible, last underscore name underscore, the title, and the JPEG, or PNGs. And in your submission for that cover art, it says your artist name, title, work, medium, and so it doesn't state here, but I think it would still be good, for this, for cover art. I don't think it states here, but to in your title of your submission, you could do cover art submission, in your subject line, so you just want to be mindful about that, how you're titling your pieces accordingly to what they require, so they recognize it's a submission, and don't delete it. They do state rights here. So they require first North American serial rights. Following publication, all rights revert to the author, but they ask that MudRoom is credited in subsequent reprints. In addition, they reserve the right to edit the submission in accordance with the rules of their style guide. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward, They do a good job of covering everything. And so that's all. So submissions, we covered that. Now, let's take a look at new modes. So they have interviews that they do, And let's see what this is. So they do interviews. It looks like these are from the past, like 2024, but they have done some in the past, so that's great. On book reviews here. So these are from last year, it looks like, and prior years, So December 27th, 2025, And so book reviews. Some lit mags do this, or and I think that's awesome. So they have a next, on the bottom of their page. This is a Squarespace site, by the way. So and if we go back to the home page here and I click enter, it's going to take us to the most recent issue, for the new year that they had released, So winter 2026, number 20. Now this is really cool what they do here, You can see MudRoom, So when you hear that name, and that's a very fun name, when you think of it. And you can see here they have essentially on my screen, it looks like photographs of various closet spaces. Now, I don't know if these photographs are from the actual contributors' closet spaces, or, but I was going to assume so. I could be wrong, though, but that's a lot of fun, You can see the different closet spaces, the different shoe storage racks and organizers, And, like that's essentially, you think about it, whenever you leave the house, or, come back of your shoes and, your jacket maybe, and let's say it's a rainy day, and I'm from originally Minnesota. We had a lot of rainy days, a lot of snow, and you track like mud into the house and snowing, so everyone's storage and closet space, is a little bit different, but it's a lot of fun, I think, to see that as the like focal square image, so that's pretty cool. They do that across the board, I think, in the issues they have, so if we go into summer like 2025, they have like a cover art for the issue, and then you click enter, and then it takes you to the interior, Look at that cat, so that's fun. So look at all these storage racks, and so these are like mini, like everyone's mudroom, I guess. That's what I'm getting from it. So it's a lot of fun, how they have it laid out, And so I'm just clicking through some examples for you guys so you can see, they have an overall cover, This one was, I think I clicked on 14 or 13, I think it was 14 that I clicked on 14. So enter, and so I think that's fun how they do this. I haven't seen a lit mag or journal do that before, like everyone's closet spaces, storage spaces, that's pretty fun, and beyond just like their profile picture or anything like that, like an actual like storage space, because everyone has one when you think about it, we all have like a storage area for like shoes and jackets, and some are like packed from end to end, for sure. I've seen some interesting closet spaces, right? So yeah, I don't have much, to be honest. I have a very small fam, so we don't have like a bunch of shoes and stuff. Well, I should take that back. Maybe my mom more so uses the most storage space out of everyone in the fam for sure. I think my mom does, but yeah, I just have a couple shoes and stuff. I'm not someone who has a bunch, but I love jackets. Love jackets, that's for sure. So yeah, I think that's really cool how they have the storage spaces, photographed here and stuff. Let's see what the first one was like. I always like looking at the first issue release. So yeah, let's click into one of these. Oh look, the cat paw is sticking out. That's funny. So yeah, it looks like there's letters from the editors that they did, and yeah, I'm just clicking on one so we can see the inside of an issue, right? So yeah, this is how they have it laid out typically, right? Then there's bio at the bottom. So yeah, again, most lit mags and journals that are digital or online, they do accept international submissions. Not all though, not all. So keep that in mind. Yeah, so that's cool, right? So yeah, I really like how they have their issues laid out. I think over time, this could be a list like this could be a bit tricky. I think if you ever get to like 100, right, then it can be a little bit tough. But they don't have a search on their site. I think it is nice to have a search when you get, more and more issues, over the years, or to search for a specific piece you're looking for, right? Yeah, from a particular, author or artist, right? So yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, so just wanted to show you around Mudroom because I thought that was cool, right? That they have no fee and they pay writers, right? And it's not easy to do that. So, oh, so something they do here, right? They have a PDF version you can download as well. So that's great. So they offer it as a PDF to others. And yeah, so again, they do a great job of, showing these mud rooms essentially, right? The storage closets or the shoe racks and organizers, right? And where others have their jackets and stuff. The contributors, I believe, their photographs, right? So that's cool. Now they don't mention that on their site, I think, in terms of that, so yeah, I'm just wondering if we go to guidelines and post acceptance. So yeah, they don't mention that, but I think that obviously one could be indicative of they could maybe ask you a photo of like your storage closet or something like that for fun, right? Rather than just a profile photo of you, right? So yeah, that's the only thing, and yeah, so that's fun, and yeah, so everything's pretty straightforward and organized. I think again, those are like my only comments I can think of. I think yeah, they do a great job. It's a very clean layout. Yeah, I just think sometimes this can be a little bit hard as it grows. Maybe if you get like up to like 50, 80, and so forth, right? It'd be hard to like go through this maybe a little bit. But yeah, they have their social media plugged in and everything. And yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. I think it is a good idea, for so yeah, they are an online magazine again, and yeah, it's not necessary, for you to be a print magazine unless you really want to. Others could download and print it out. But yeah, you can do a lot with an online publication series. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it. As showed you on this podcast, just a couple different examples, and yeah, this is a Squarespace site. The previous episode I showed you was a WordPress site, and then I've showed you a couple different examples of two on the series, a couple other ones too of Substacks, right, as well. So yeah, I think it is beneficial. I think for lit mags to have newsletters and mailing lists and stuff too, to subscribe to. But yeah, they are on social media too, and yeah. Anyways, I think Mudroom has a very cool, unique vibe to it. I think what they do with their issue layout here is very distinct and fun too, so I really like this, the shoe racks and everything, right? So their name also matches very well, and yeah. So do check it out, guys. You have time, again, you have time to submit to them, right? So they're going to be open through March 25th, guys. So that's awesome. And yeah, so Totally. And again, they have a very tight acceptance rate. So, don't feel down again if you get a rejection from any lit mag journal at all. But the most important thing is to try and have fun. That's the whole process, right? And keep trying. Yeah. So they do mention, right, that for submitting, right, they want to ensure, right, that you, right, submit just once per submission period. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, so that's all. Yeah. And PS, guys, I don't always go out to, every listing page that a lit mag or journal or press has, right? Typically, I'll show you duotrope pages, chill subs, and sometimes I go out to the CLMP, Community of Literary Magazines and Presses listing if they are a member. But yeah, MudRoom Magazine does have a, right, CLMP page as well. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And in regards to their issues, just one last thing. So with the name and mudroom, right? So for those who are unaware, yes, I typically do read off definitions at the beginning, but sometimes I do it towards the end. So, if you were to look up the dictionary definition of mudroom, if you're not familiar with that, right? It just quoting it off the dictionary, right? So it's a small room or entryway where footwear and outerwear can be removed before entering a house, right? So yeah. So typically everyone, has a mudroom, right? As I said earlier. And yeah, so I believe these are photos from contributors. Again, it just wasn't fully clear to me. These don't look like stock photos at all, right? So these look like actual photos from each contributor, tied to their piece that they submitted, right? Or had accepted. So anyways, I think that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's pretty unique. I don't see any other lit mag in the world who's really done that, showing the mudrooms and stuff, right? I think that's a pretty cool series. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So, totally take some time to read some of Mudroom Magazine's issues. And yeah, don't forget that they have an upcoming, right, again, window closing here, right? So get your submissions in before March 25th. Of course, I'm sure they'll have more, calls and, open windows, beyond that. So just, if you want to check it out now and, submit, totally take the time to do so. And bye, yeah, that's all I wanted to say and share. So, yeah, I think I covered pretty much all that I could on Mudroom. And yeah, that's all. Take care, yeah, and bye, yeah.